When you play the Game of Thrones, you win, or you die. There is no middle ground.
She was a lioness draped in gold, ambition burning in her veins, and a crown that never truly fit. Loved by few, feared by many, and misunderstood by most, Cersei Lannister was more than just a villain. She was a queen forged in fire, driven by pride, paranoia, and pain. This is the rise, reign, and fall of Cersei Lannister, the most dangerous woman in Westeros. To understand Cersei Lannister, we have to start at the beginning, in the golden halls of Casterly Rock, where she was born into one of the richest and most powerful families in Westeros. She was the only daughter of Tywin Lannister, a man who embodied legacy, ruthlessness, and power. Tywin wasn't just her father, he was her example, her shadow, and eventually her burden. From her earliest days, Cersei understood what it meant to be a Lannister. You win or you die. There's no in-between. But while Tywin's heir was supposed to be Jaime, his golden boy with a sword, and his youngest son Tyrion was deemed a disgrace, Cersei, she was born with fire, and she hated being told she couldn't rule because of her gender. When I was a little girl, I prayed to the gods to make me a boy. Why was I born a woman? I would be better than Jaime. I would be better than all of them. She grew up beautiful, cunning, and deeply aware that in a man's world, beauty was her weapon, but also a prison. Cersei's life was defined by the limitations placed on her as a woman, and her desperate attempts to break them, lies like the parentage of her children. Because while Robert thought he fathered 3 golden-haired children, in truth, they were all Jaime's. Yes, her twin brother. And that relationship was more than incest. It was identity. Jaime was her mirror, her lover, the only one who made her feel like a queen. But this lie, this foundational secret, would one day burn the 7 kingdoms to ash. Cersei's first real taste of power came when Robert died, and she became Queen Regent for her son, Joffrey Baratheon. And here, we start to see the real Cersei, the puppet master, the schemer. She placed loyal allies around her, ousted those she saw as threats, and ensured the Lannister name stayed on top. But her methods? Brutal, unforgiving, short-sighted. Joffrey's reign was a disaster, and Cersei, blind with maternal pride, refused to see it. He's a lion. He's my son. He will be a great king. But Joffrey was a monster, sadistic, arrogant, and completely uncontrollable. And in her effort to protect him, Cersei made enemy after enemies, but including Tyrion, her own brother. She hated Tyrion not just for being a dwarf, but because she blamed him for their mother's death in childbirth. And because deep down, she saw in him the freedom and cunning she longed for. So when Tyrion gained influence as Hand of the King, she tried to sabotage him at every turn. This bitter rivalry would become one of the bloodiest family feuds in the series. Behind all of Cersei's confidence, there was one thing she could never escape: the prophecy. As a young girl, she visited a woods witch named Maggie the Frog, who told her 3 terrifying truths. You will be queen for a time. Then comes another, younger and more beautiful, to cast you down and take all you hold dear. You will have 3 children. Gold shall be their crowns and gold their shrouds. This prophecy haunted Cersei. Every move she made, every enemy she tried to crush, it was all driven by fear. She saw Margaery Tyrell as the younger queen who would take her place. And in trying to stop her, she made a deadly mistake. To destroy the Tyrells, she empowered the Faith Militant, a religious group she thought she could control. But they turned on her, imprisoned her, shamed her. The Walk of Atonement through the streets of King's Landing wasn't just punishment, it was a breaking point. Stripped of her clothes, her pride, her dignity, Cersei was forced to face what it meant to fall. Shame, shame, shame. But from that walk, she rose with vengeance in her heart. After the death of her last child, Tommen, Cersei had nothing left but the throne. And she took it. Not through marriage, not through regency, not through whispers, but through fire. She blew up the Sept of Baelor, murdering the High Sparrow, Marjorie, Loras, the Tyrell legacy, and countless innocents, in one single, unforgettable act of pure Lannister wrath. This was the moment Cersei became queen in her own right, but she had become something else too. Utterly alone. No children, no allies, no humanity left to protect. Her reign was built on fear and ashes. And when Daenerys Targaryen arrived in Westeros, Cersei knew she was facing the prophecy head-on. Younger, more beautiful, with dragons at her back and an army behind her, Cersei played the long game, forming shaky alliances, betraying oaths, using wildfire, lies, and manipulation. But in the end, she had become the very thing she feared, a tyrant blinded by the need to survive. Cersei's final chapters were not the epic battle she might have deserved. They were slow, painful, inevitable. As Daenerys laid waste to King's Landing, Cersei watched her world crumble, literally. And in those last moments, she wasn't the queen of Westeros anymore. She wasn't the manipulator, the villain, the lion. She was just a woman, a mother who had lost her children, a lover holding her twin brother, a girl who was told she'd never rule and tried anyway. I want our baby to live. The Red Keep fell on them both. The lion and lioness died not in glory, but in rubble. It was poetic. It was cruel. And it was human. So, was Cersei Lannister a villain? Yes and no. She was cruel, manipulative, prideful. She made devastating choices that cost countless lives. But she was also a product of her world, a woman trying to survive in a game rigged against her. She loved her children fiercely. She believed in legacy. She fought for control because she had none growing up. In a realm filled with kings who burned, butchered, and betrayed, Cersei was one of the few who played the game with wit instead of a sword, and she almost won. Almost. Power is power. That's what she once said. And for a time, well, she was right. But power without love is hollow, and fear without loyalty is fragile. Cersei Lannister wasn't just a villain. She was a mirror, reflecting everything that's broken in Westeros. A mother, a queen, a lioness, and in the end, a tragic figure caught in the very web she wove. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mind of Cersei Lannister, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. Who do you want us to cover next from Game of Thrones? Was Cersei a misunderstood anti-hero or a true villain to the core? Let's talk in the comments. And remember, when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.